All right, welding day today. Woo! Yeah! I can't see you. Yeah! TIG Tip Tuesday. It's probably not Tuesday. Well, it might be Tuesday if you're watching it on a Tuesday.
Yes.
So anyway, we're doing beginner TIG welding tips. We've got a couple more before this one if you want to watch those. And if you're new to TIG welding or welding in general, you might want to subscribe to the channel. Me and Ryan have been welding for years. He's a bit better than I am, but you know, I'm not far behind.
Yes.
I'm pretty close.
Yeah,
not really.
Definitely.
I might be a better MIG welder.
Yes. I don't MIG weld a whole lot.
Enough of that. So anyway, the basic stuff to get started with, and one of the first things you want to do is clean the part you're welding, and we're just using practice pieces today.
1/8 inch.
Yeah, 1/8 inch.
Yes.
So grab some lacquer thinner, some acetone.
Yeah.
And just write down what you're going to be welding.
Yeah.
And as well, wipe your filler rod, because it will have stuff on it, even right out of the box.
Yeah, you don't want to leave this sit outside. Make sure you keep it sealed in a container, because even though that gold plating keeps it from rusting, sorta. So if it's outside, it's gonna rust. You're not gonna want to do that.
Definitely.
And don't use brake clean when you're cleaning your parts. Lots of people do. You can Google this stuff, but it's creates the fumes can create a bad scenario, and you could get really sick, very sick. So
You don't want to be sick.
you don't want to be sick. Lacquer thinner or acetone, whatever's cheaper at the store is what we use.
Yeah, whatever. Another thing, when you get new metal, a lot of times it has that mill scale on there, and
Yes.
you can run it to the sandblaster and blast it off. It's hard to blast off because it's a real hard surface.
If you have a sandblaster, it works great, but if you don't, muriatic acid is incredible. Now you got to be very careful with muriatic acid as well. I do it with a fan behind me and my bucket here, and I sit between it. Face shield, gloves, you don't want to drop it or anything, but same stuff you use in your pool, you can just soak it. It won't hurt the metal, but it will just leave it sitting there, usually 15 minutes. It'll take all the mill scale right off of it, and you got a perfect clean piece. If you don't have a sandblaster, bottle of muriatic acid is like $2.50. That works really good. So
it's a way to do it. It's not the safest way. Just if you do it, just be extremely careful.
exactly.
And if you don't get that mill scale off, you can still weld to it. You can actually, when you start learning to see the puddle, which we're going to go over today, you can actually see the mill scale around it kind of burning off to the side, and it makes for a dirtier weld. And if you can get that off there, it makes a perfect weld.
Yeah, we're trying to show you a really nice weld, and to be able to weld, you know, just a little bit at a time, but just if you can get it perfect, you'll be able to see it. And if you're dealing with dirty metal, dirty wire, or anything like that, you're not gonna see what you're doing and what you're not doing right. So you want to get all this stuff clean and all that mill scale off, especially for practicing.
Let's fire up the welder.
Let's do it.
Oh, and pull this away from your welding area.
Maybe your rag too. Okay, got the welder turned on in the background here, so you're gonna have a little bit of noise, but we got some new metal here. This is new 1/8 inch steel. 1/8 inch is a really good size to start with. I know some of this stuff we went over in the past, but this time we're gonna be able to show it to you. We're gonna actually video the weld itself. So what you wanna do is find some decent metal. Like a lot of people I see trying to practice, and they'll run out and grab like an old street sign or something like that. If it's got any plating or rust or any of that, you have to clean it off. And anything galvanized or anything like that, you're not gonna be able to weld nice. And what you really wanna do is you wanna be able to weld a 1-inch weld perfect every time. So anything hindering that is just, you're not gonna be able to learn very well trying to deal with that. So get a new piece of metal, or grind it down so you're past everything and you got it nice and fresh, all the sides too, because if you don't clean the edge and you just clean the side or something, when you're melting the metal, it's going to just roll around into it. So you don't want to do that. You want it to be perfect. So what we're going to do first, we're just going to tack this on. Another thing is, welding something like that, this weld is much harder to weld than this. What I want you to do is to be able to weld on a 90 degree, the inside 90 degree, 1 inch perfect. You don't have to have them touching, just be able to weld 1 inch perfect. So this is the ideal, the easiest way to weld. It's pretty much the easiest one to do. So if you can do that, you'll learn, you'll pick it up on yourself, what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. So we're gonna go ahead and tack this together. There we go. Just tack the ends so we don't have to deal with running over tacks in the middle, because that's a whole nother situation, trying to be able to weld over top of your old tacks. So next thing you want to do when you start welding, you're going to put the torch right down in here, get a perfect puddle started. As you can see, I've got the welder fired up and I'm not melting the metal at all. I'm just controlling the heat. I got the angle like we talked about in the other videos. So what we're gonna do is just go ahead and start heating it up until the metal melts. There we go, add a little heat at a time until it goes. You'll see it start melting on that side. When we're melting on that side, it's not touching. You can add a little wire to get it to fill. Okay, now you see how we have a puddle all the way around. Just add a little bit of wire in there so you get a nice round puddle like that. Okay, now we can start moving forward. I'm still controlling the foot pedal, controlling the heat. Trying not to move. I got my elbows on the table that we talked about. So now we're just gonna add a little wire and count. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. If I have to stop, I can back off the pedal. Don't shut it off all the way. If you got to reposition your wire or whatever, you can just like back off the pedal a little bit and then get started again. Put the wire back in, get it back up to the right heat. What you're trying to do is you're making the outside of the puddle. You can look there, you can see the edge of both edges of the puddle. You want to keep those the same width the whole way down. And that's where the practice comes in, to make your puddles look like a row of dimes. You want all your dimes to be the same size. So that's kind of how you have to get it done. And you do that by the amount of heat you got and the amount of wire you fill in, because as soon as you add it in, it's going to start solidifying the puddle. That's how you can control your heat as well, is by moving. If you're going too slow, you're just gonna make a mess out of it. You're gonna overheat your metal, and it's not gonna make that row of dimes like we want. You can see the edge. I'm looking at both edges as I'm going to keep that puddle the same size. Add the wire to the puddle. Kind of in front of it is the ideal place to add it. Shut it off. Don't forget your post flow. Need that so when you start welding again, it'll still look nice. All right, you got our part done here, and this is what we want you to do. Okay, just try to do 1 inch. Don't start your weld on top of your last weld. Just try to produce 1 inch long welds, another one, and another one, and just keep practicing that until you nail it, where you can make each one of these perfect, and you'll give you the confidence, and you'll see what you're doing right and wrong. And honestly, like I said, that 90 degrees, that's the inside corner, that's the easiest one to do. So once you get the feel of that, you're gonna like feel it when you're doing something out of position or whatever you have to do. But doing that weld with the camera in front of it was a little difficult, but still came out pretty nice here. And that's kind of what we want.
The biggest thing is when you start seeing how that metal moves and flows. And
exactly.
It gets, I've said it before, but for me it was aluminum, because it was just, I don't know why it made it easier for me, but
a little bit bigger probably.
Yeah, because you get a bigger puddle and I can see it better. And but watching how the metal moves and flows is a key thing.
Exactly. Yeah, you just tilt your torch, from up to down or whatever. You can actually move it in, even back up just a little bit, and with controlling the heat and everything. That you're going to start feeling it. And it's kind of hard to explain every single little thing that happens there, but that's
a lot going on.
It's a lot going on.
But it'll become muscle memory, and once you get it, it's like
just like walking. You're gonna just start doing it.
Just like walking.
It's just like walking. It literally is. You don't forget how to walk, right?
So after you're out in the garage today practicing your welds, send us some pics of your welds. We want to see what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
I'll leave a link in the comments below to Facebook or whatever, and you can just send a messenger. And then also, right here probably. I'm gonna put a link to the playlist. We're gonna start a welding playlist. So go check those out right now. And we forgot to do some stuff in this one, and we're gonna hit it in the next one.
Exactly. So much to learn.
Taking my helmet. Oh, it's your helmet.
My helmet.